The first Jujutsu Kaisen console game is here, and while the game might not be as advanced as other arena fighters, it still has a learning curve. You cannot just hop into ranked and expect to keep winning forever by spamming the same skill over and over, so I have decided to give you guys 5 obvious tips that you might have not thought about. But before I reveal them, I just wanna say only 5% of you are subscribed to the channel. If you wanna see more Jujutsu Kaisen content, then go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Many of you have told me that you're struggling with Sukuna and Gojo players, and depending on what the character you're playing as, joint attacks can make your games much easier. Both Gojo and Sukuna have moves that turn them either armored or completely invincible, making it very difficult to open them up, but that doesn't matter because a well-timed joint attack can go through Sukuna's armor and Gojo's infinity. As I said, this is character dependent. For example, if you're in a Sukuna mirror, you probably don't want to do joint attacks since yours gonna take ages to go off, but if you're with, let's say, Gojo who can teleport, or Maki who jumps at her opponent quickly, then that means it's in your best interest to start doing joint attacks. On top of these, joint attacks also go through guarding opponents, meaning if your opponent is turtling the whole game waiting for you to attack first, then you don't need the help of your teammate to jump him. All you need to do is hit them with a joint attack. The combination with your teammate is an added bonus, but even if you can't land a single hit, you basically render your opponent in the floating state from which they cannot escape. Therefore, you can just go ahead and assist your teammate or just jump right back onto the guy. Some of you are getting blasted by Fugas and Hollow Purples, but what if I told you pressing the guard button will actually save you? It takes either a level 3 curse technique, an ultimate, a joint attack, or multiple hits to break your guard, and even if they break your guard, you can always count on your teammate to get you out of trouble. Now, I did say that the best anti of a guarding player is by using your joint attack, but most of the joint attacks have an obvious animation, meaning you can move out of the way and punish the enemy player for thinking they can beat you. In addition to guarding, you can sidestep to all directions, but do be careful with your hops because you're vulnerable during a sidestep. Since I have briefly mentioned ultimates, I think it's time to explain how they actually work because many of you just throw them out on players that got low amount of health. Multiple characters can one-shot their opponents with an ultimate attack, and some are even armored. However, did you know that an ultimate can go through your guard? Just like joint attacks, people still don't know they cannot block an ultimate, meaning you can easily deal insane amount of damage if your cursed energy meter is full. On top of that, ultimates can only be used once per match, so do pay attention on who you are starting to blast, because it might be in your best interest to hold off on the ultimate to start attacking someone that's on full health. Unless you play with Sukuna. If you play with Sukuna, you're contractually obligated to team kill with your ultimate. Your teammate will be more than happy to become your sacrifice. The next tip actually ties into the last tip because it affects your movement, and that is to manage your stamina bar. Your stamina bar can quickly get drained if you run all the way around the map or if you keep dashing. However, you probably didn't know that it takes about less than a second to get it fully recharged. Even if you're in danger, there's just no way you cannot stop for at least a second. You're shooting yourself in the leg if you keep staying on 0 stamina. And speaking of 0 stamina, if you keep jumping or sprinting, you'll never regenerate your stamina. You got a teammate after all, there's no way you cannot get him to help you out for a second. You need to chill out. Before I reveal the 5th tip, as an honorable mention, I thought I'd tell you guys to use the whole stage for your advantage. There are a bunch of zoners and slow characters that just cannot fight you if you keep hiding behind a wall or if you run away, so if a Jogo and a Sukuna tries to beat you by running all around the stage, try to drag them behind the building or further away from each other. Even if you lose the 2v2 and your opponents are superior, you can always try to turn the fight into a 1v1. And survival mode is a pretty good tool to make you learn how to run away. Like, I honestly didn't use my blues with Gojo for a very long time, but the moment when Biscuit made me to play survival mode, I actually learned how to use them. Now that I have stalled enough, I think it's time to explain the most vital tip I can give you in Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash. If you go back to any of the previous tips, you might have realized that I have touched on the topic of movement, and that's exactly my 5th and last point, because movement is such a core thing to learn that you just cannot play the game on high level without mastering it. I know this sounds basic as hell, but the zoners can literally be outplayed with dashing and jumping around, if you know what you're doing. Remember when I talked about joint attacks? You cannot land a joint attack without getting close enough. You cannot defend yourself without mastering movement. You cannot land an ultimate without getting closer to your opponent either. Even though I did say guarding is a key tip to learn in this game, on higher level you will need to learn how to dodge attacks. You see a level 3 Fuga flying at you, you better dodge it, otherwise you'll get guard broken. You see a level 3 Maki dashing right at you, chances are she's expecting you to block, meaning she will use her spear to penetrate your guard and deal insane amount of damage. If you know how far your character can launch with your attack, then there's a very good chance that all you need is to slightly get closer, meaning you need to learn how to dash in this game. Mastering the movement could probably be a separate video in itself, but I have thought enough about it. Learn to manage your stamina and start implementing more dashes into your playstyle. These were the 5 obvious tips that many of you don't use in Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash. If this video was helpful, then let me know down in the comments and please smash that like button as well. The other day I played with Nobara, who's probably one of the most annoying characters to play against. Some of you even consider her broken. Check out the left video on the screen if you're curious. That's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I hope you all have had a fantastic day. Stay safe. Until next time, boys. Peace!